Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Dance. Bobby Baez, our guest, Matt Lascella, and I'm Martino Puccio. Okay, guys, NBA draft lottery upon us. Slots are set. May 19th. It's the lottery on ESPN. They always do it before a playoff game, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so
just to put a little something in there, I have lost interest in the lottery, for a long time.
Well, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to the point. So anyways, top five rounds out as Philly, Lakers, Celtics via Brooklyn, Suns, T-Wolves.
Right.
So now what I wanted to discuss, it's been around since the 80s. First ever lottery was when the Knicks got Patrick Ewing. And the frozen envelope really brought a lot of drama to the whole draft process.
Right off the bat.
But the problem that a lot of people have is that it incentivizes losing.
Yep.
So, say you have a down year like the Chicago Bulls, they don't think they have a shot at the title, so they lose out a little bit. They rest some guys, sit them out, don't play guys as much. Lose a couple games, you're in the lottery, you give yourself just a slim chance to go up, get a number one overall pick, possibly turn your franchise around. Now, I think the whole incentive of a draft, the whole point of a draft, is to make the bad teams better. The worst team picks first, so they have a chance to turn things around. Because if you don't get the first pick, say like the Bobcats had the worst winning percentage ever in the John Wall draft.
Yep.
They didn't win it.
Yep. I think the issue starts to come in here, going back to what you said, how you're not fond of the lottery. And is it like a fun thing?
I'm a Knicks fan especially. So
of course. And I absolutely feel you there. Is it kind of a fun thing, see who falls where the balls are up? Yeah, of course. But that's not what this sport is for. The sport isn't for the lottery. That's why we're not really seeing any power shifts. You still have your Thunder. Now the Warriors are kind of new, but that's the Steph thing. It's kind of freak thing.
Thunder were one of the teams that utilized the lottery.
Right.
They did a good job. You still have to draft well.
Look
Look at the Timberwolves.
But for the majority,
Timberwolves are finally drafting.
The bottom feeders in both conferences have stayed the same. If you go to the NFL, for example, where it's how it should be, worst team, first pick. Now you're starting to see, the Titans are just absolutely making ridiculous moves at the moment, but you see the Titans are getting better. The Jaguars are poised to be a playoff team soon.
Yeah.
The Texans,
Jaguars will be second
all
in
these
that
teams
division.
that have not been good and their talent has finally developed because you're getting the picks where you're supposed to be getting them, there's a balance. There is a balance. It's really checks and balances. In the NBA, it's not
any sport.
I mean, I don't even really know why this is really a discussion. Why just have it the way that other sports have it is so simple. Teams with the worst records get the highest picks.
And it's too late, also. They wait till towards the end of May to do it. Teams got a month to think about what they're going to do, who they're going to pick where, because people still don't know where they're picking.
Right.
And they have an idea of where they might be, a certain range. And that's a big Lakers might not even get a pick.
If you look at the NFL, you have the Super Bowl in February. They have about 2 months and maybe more like 3 months until late April. In order to pick.
It's a bigger process because it's a football's a really thought out sport because you wait a week to play an opponent.
Right.
You think of your strategy.
True.
You really got to do your due diligence when you're drafting guys, and that's
also,
not to say. Also, baseball too. Baseball,
there's also more players.
It's a lot.
Right.
You have to evaluate a lot.
I think this year's draft is interesting for a few reasons. One, Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram can obviously interchangeable at 1 and 2, really just depending on who gets the pick and based on needs. Thon Maker's now, been allowed to enter the draft at 19.
Check Diallo, Scal.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting at. There's a bunch of guys, in particular, Check Diallo, Scal, even guys that go to even backup centers that go to UNC or big schools are now declaring because you can now declare and withdraw your name. Was it 2 weeks prior to the draft? Or without hiring an agent, whatever the in particular is.
Probably 2 weeks prior to the lottery.
2 weeks prior to the lottery, and you have to
because 2 weeks before the draft is too late.
Right, and that's what I meant, the lottery, not the draft.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No
and also, you'd have to not hire an agent. I believe is the other part of it. So now that you're seeing this, I think there's a lot of guys that are going to slip through the cracks that normally wouldn't have, and I think a lot of your mid-major players, this is where you're going to start to see it. Your AJ Englishes, your Damian Lillards, your CJ McCollums, these guys that may start to slip through the cracks because now you have a ton of other guys declaring for the draft. You see UNC or Kentucky, you automatically think, okay, well, they got better coaching, right?
That's not really a lottery thing. That's just the eligibility thing.
Yeah, but I think it's going to change because now Don Maker gets thrown into the first round.
Well, first of all, they put in the worst possible scenario. I get it if you want to make kids go to college so you could evaluate better, but you don't put it for 1 year. You do 2 years or high school, like I've been saying. But
because 1 year goes back to what we said before, the whole education thing.
Yeah. Also, craziest stat about the lottery is since 1985, since it started, there have been 1, 2, I think it was 4. I'm just recounting. 1, 2, 5 times the team with the worst record in the league has gotten the first overall pick.
And
That's
also,
really something to say.
And also, there were 2 of the lowest odds to win the draft lottery recently: Cleveland and Chicago. The guy projected to be the number 1 pick was a local guy. Think about that. When the Bulls had the number 1 pick, Derrick Rose was the number 1 guy.
Well, yeah, Wiggins is Canadian though.
And Cleveland with LeBron in 03. Did they win that one? They won that lottery.
Yeah, no, they won that lottery. Yeah. No one was passing up on him.
Yeah. So.
Well, here's also my thing that I wanted to get at. When you or even the Celtics too, they had the highest percentage chance in history, okay? And it completely changes the dynamic for the league. You know what draft that was? They had the highest percentage to win the lottery, but they didn't win it.
I mean, it's recent,
85.
right?
Guess the draft.
Is it recent?
No, this is in the late 90s. Tim Duncan draft.
98?
96.
Tim
96.
Duncan
No,
draft.
97.
97. Close, guys. That is the Tim Duncan draft. The best power forward of all time, but the worst team misses out on him.
Who'd they draft that year? Do you know?
Someone that's not in the league anymore.
I think it might have been Antoine.
Oh,
Antoine
Walker.
Walker. No, not Jameson.
Antoine Walker.
No, sorry, Chauncey Billups.
Oh, okay, that's
Chauncey.
But he didn't.
it's not
But
Tim
that's
Duncan,
not-
but it's not a bust.
That's
at least.
not
Thank
the
God.
point.
I mean,
The point here is that I'm trying to get at.
Right.
What's the point? What's the point of trying to win or trying to get to the 8th seed? That's another thing too. How many times has an 8th seed upset anybody? The only time I can remember is when the
Golden
Warriors
State
beat the Mavericks.
in Dallas 07.
That's the only time.
And also, I feel like teams like that are kind of like in the worst possible. It's like in the NFL where
It's
teams
called
like,
the treadmill.
Teams like that are 8,
You're not getting better. You're not getting worse.
Treading water. Yeah, the Jets have been like that for like the past. Well, except for like 2014.
Well, that's just
But
poor drafting. It's the same thing. That's why the Timberwolves have been in their slot. It finally took them a little while to you get the one thing with Kevin Love, and then you swing it for a trade, and then you start getting guys in there, and you draft really well, and the balls fall your way. But there's too many times you keep seeing the same teams in the lottery.
yeah.
The Kings, the Timberwolves have been in it for a while.
bottom feeders,
the Knicks.
The Knicks, it's gonna be Brooklyn for a long time. The
Yeah.
Sixers have been. This is the worst stretch of basketball ever.
Are you sure it's
Sin-
not the worst stretch of like play in sports, in pro sports? I
Oh,
mean,
it is definitely.
it's one of them.
It might
Professional
be the most
sports.
polarizing though, because you have the Warriors, right, and you have the Spurs, and and teams doing unheard of stuff, breaking records too, and then you have Philly, and then you have Brooklyn, and then you have So I think it's
Phoenix was
it might
an
not-
injury kind of.
well,
thing. That was a bad
well,
line
Minnesota.
stuff.
Yeah,
I guess you
granted.
said Minnesota.
But at least Minnesota, New
Yeah.
Orleans, which was also
Many won 30 games.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. And
New Orleans should have been better than they
but-
were though.
right
Injuries
because
too.
the
That's an
injuries
injury.
also.
So bad drafting trades.
But I think so. Maybe it's not the worst time we're seeing. It could just be the most polarizing time we're seeing.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen the Warriors. I mean,
But
crazy.
back,
95,
but
96
back to
Bulls.
the draft eligibility.
Right.
Crazy
because
disparity.
it's harder to evaluate guys that are just doing 1 year of college. A lot of the reasons why guys just leave after 1 year of college is just because they don't want to get exposed back in college. Isn't that the whole point of the draft process, to know what you're getting?
yeah.
If you're going back scared, a lot of people are. This is what I don't get: the mindset of
why I
a
like guys
player
like Buddy Hield.
not wanting to go back to college because they don't want to get exposed. You go back to college to get better.
Yeah, but I think part of it's also
Chris
the
Dunn,
thought,
Marcus
the thought
Smart.
of the thought of getting hurt
This is why I like guys like Buddy Hield.
because you're not getting if you at least if you,
Julius
if you-
Randle.
Okay, right, but he's getting paid at least. You go to college and you get hurt, you're done. You can't do anything, and you're not getting paid.
Well, that's why there's an insurance.
Right, but I think that's at least in the back of athletes' minds.
You can get hurt doing anything.
Of
Jay
course.
Williams.
Yeah, you can.
Motorcycle
you get hurt
accident.
tying your shoes. You know, anything. Of course, anything
Brandon
happens.
Ainge tucked his
Of
kid
course.
into bed.
Yeah, and
Hurt
of
his
course,
back. Was out for a
you
month
know,
or two.
and anything goes. But I think at least in the sense of athletes thinking, hey, I could choose to get paid, and if something happens to me, well, at least I'm getting paid, or I stay in
They
school.
don't even get paid that much anymore.
right.
Same thing with the NFL.
Right.
There's not as much guaranteed money committed because
Right.
of what happened with Sam Bradford. That was like one of those things. It's like we're not going to commit so much money to a guy.
Right.
Yeah, no matter how much we like him, why should we have to commit this much money to a guy when there's no guarantees in life, regardless sports. So that's really a problem that exists. But too many of the times you just see these teams just not getting better. The whole point of a draft, going back to my original point, is just to get better.
Yeah.
And is the lottery doing that? I
No.
don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
Maybe you might get like one exception, one diamond. I'm not gonna say diamond rough because they know these guys, but
You got to know how to draft.
yeah.
And
then
oddly
Knicks-
enough, the Celtics are bad drafting at the top part of the draft. They
If there's
draft
any time
better
for-
towards the bottom.
Yeah, if there's any
And-
time for him to get better, it's now because
and
you're
also-
overloaded with picks.
I don't
so-
think the Sixers are bad at drafting. I just feel like the makeup of their team isn't good because they have no veterans. at all.
Also a free agency thing too.
It
Why
also
would
doesn't
why
help-
would anybody want to come be your free?
Right,
You have to be
but it
the
also
Lakers,
doesn't-
the
yeah,
Knicks,
but it
or
also
like the
doesn't-
Bulls.
It also doesn't help
be bad.
drafting a center 3 years in a row.
Because you know
Yeah.
what they did? They took best
should've
player
been the Knicks
available.
pick.
Yeah, you take best player available, but not when you already have 2 of them.
You only do that not in basketball. You never do that in basketball because there's only 5 positions.
Yeah, but if-
Baseball, you do it.
if-
you do it in football.
Okay, so if the right- if you
Jets,
have-
the
so
Jets
if
had
the-
drafted Leonard Williams and they were loaded with.
Well, that was
defensive
stupid.
Right.
I get where it's
It-
going.
it depen-
It
it-
made sense
it's-
now.
You best player available given a circumstance like that. If you have 2 running backs, you're not drafting a running back again for the 3rd straight year. You're not.
No,
unless you
I
plan to
agree
trade
with
one of them.
you. It was
Well,
stupid what Philly was doing.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
solely expecting for the Knicks to get Jaleel Okafor,
Yeah.
and if Philly got him, I'm just like that doesn't make sense.
Everyone knows
But
Philly
I
should have
think
gotten
the
Moody
Knicks
there.
already had their mindset on Porzingis.
Denver's
though.
headed that way
So-
now. If Denver gets the 7, which was from us from the Melo trade,
Yeah, but it went to
Jakob
Toronto.
Poeltl. No, Toronto's 8 from Denver.
Well, they were going to have
Right.
it, but yeah, they do have
So
their
Denver's
original.
going to be in the same in the same boat as Philly. You got Yusuf Nurkic and the other itch.
Jokic.
Yeah,
Jokic.
Yusuf Nurkic and now Jakob Poeltl. That's okay. Load all the foreign big men on one team. Don't get any better. That's fine.
Yeah, still have a weak backcourt, but whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, what happens is, you can't rely on a ball deciding
On
a league's
chance,
fate.
Right.
But one quick thing, sorry.
Go
man.
ahead. Right.
I think they do it just to try to make sure teams
It's
don't
all for
tank,
drama.
tank on purpose.
I think it is tanking on purpose.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
incentivizes.
And yet they do it
tanking.
anyway. So I
It
mean,
does. It does
doesn't matter.
incentivize it. It really does incentivize it because, in other words, I mean,
Because you still have a
you
shot.
got to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a better shot at getting better by missing the playoffs than you do by just going in the playoffs and getting experience. There's only a handful of teams where it could be good to go in the playoffs and you're still like drafting kind of well.
You
like
could have
Celtics last year.
A or 2 bad years, and then the balls fall in the right place for the draft, and you're back to being a good
Mhm.
team again. It's not that long of a layoff like it's been,
Also, at
Or-
the end of the day, you got to draft well.
Or you could have a team that's like they're not the worst, but they're like
Right.
not really that good, and then they get
Yeah.
like a bad draft
Jed
pick,
Mill,
and they're just gonna suck.
middle of the pack.
middle of the pack teams, the
Yep.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll wrap it up for this segment. I believe that's your last one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, guys. Great discussion. Hopefully, maybe I'll come back some other weeks.
Whenever you
Sounds
want.
good.
You're
Sounds
more
like
than
a
welcome
plan.
to come
More
back.
than welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Very great
All right.
topics. All right, thanks. Big Dance, we'll be back.